I remember he, oh, this is so
Maybe
bad.
we don't tell this story.
No,
I know I'm not going to look good in this story.
no.
Which is fine.
We're still together, so it all worked out, right?
We argue on some things, but it's never, nothing that's going to cause us to say, oh, well, that's it. You know, you made me so mad, I'm leaving.
I don't know what I would do without him. I can tell when he's totally frustrated with something I've been doing, and he just has to like move away. And the same with him. He knows when I'm exasperated with something he's doing, and he's like, all right, you need your space, and which I do, which he does give me. I just remember sitting there going, this is what Hollywood doesn't portray it the right way. We had 3 kids at the time. I was 35, and I just went for a normal physical, and she felt this lump in my throat. And she goes, I'm a little concerned about that. I'm going to send you to UCLA for a biopsy. I'm like, okay. You know, I didn't think anything of it. I went for the biopsy. I came home, and I forgot. My girlfriend goes, whatever happened with that? I go, oh, you know what? They haven't called me yet, so I guess probably nothing. And then they called me and said, we want to take it out. We want to take it out of here because we're concerned about it. I'm like, oh, okay. So I had surgery, and they took this lymph node out, and then they called us right back and said, you have cancer.
Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Like one of the worst cancers you can have. It's in your lymph nodes. So you have lymph nodes all over your body, and it spreads to all different parts of your body. So I came in for an initial consultation with a doctor.
Oncologist.
At UCLA. And the doctor telling me, well, it looks like you're in stage 2, and you have a 20% chance of surviving this. And I went, wait, what? A 20%? What's an 80% chance of what? He goes, an 80% chance that we could probably help you out right now, but in 5 years it'll come back and then we can't do anything for you. Like, I'm going through my kids. I go, they're gonna be babies.
When you die.
When I die. He's telling us this, I just believe him, what he's saying to me. It doesn't occur to me like, I need to get a second opinion. I need to have this checked out again. And then all of a sudden I have all these doctor's appointments. And the whole time, I'm at home like, I need to do laundry, and I'm just sitting here like in this chair going, I need to do this. I need to think about what I'm gonna cook for dinner. And it's like, couldn't think of anything except I'm not gonna be able to see my kids grow up. I had some tests the night before. We went to see my dad, and we're driving home, and I get a call, and it's the oncologist. We're driving on the freeway. My sister Judy's in the back with her luggage, and I'm talking on the phone, and I just start crying, and my sister goes, I thought it's either really good or really bad. And the doctor told me, goes, I'm not getting all the reports from pathology, like they're not in from the initial lymph node they took out. He calls me back, and he goes, I don't think you have cancer at all. I go, what? He goes, I don't think you have cancer. We drove right to Mary Star. Literally, like, just laid down on the altar, like, thanking God. I called Helen Grove, who started Kurt's Kitchen. I go, I want to volunteer. What do you need? I can serve, I can cook, I can whatever. I said, she goes, well, you can serve.
You know, it's funny because I didn't believe that she was going to die. I mean, not for a second. What freaked me out the most was watching the impact it had on Gina, because, man.
Because it had a residual effect.
Yeah.
Because it changed me.
Yeah.
Because I had real fear of losing my kids.
But she could never take a deep breath. I mean, the thought of losing her, I hadn't even gotten to that point yet. It was more of dealing with the immediate sort of, it's okay, honey. You know, we're gonna, you know, let's. And she's like, don't tell me it's okay. Right. I don't want to hear it's okay. You know, I'm dealing with the orphaning my children. Well, you know, and leaving my children. I've thought about it quite a bit, you know, and I thought, I'm not sure. And when Gina's mom died as well, that was a really tough experience for her. And I don't know how you feel about it, Gina, but I mean, I don't feel like I did all I could do. I feel like I could have been there more for you, you know, at that time, and maybe at this time, you know, during the cancer scare as well.
That's okay. That's okay. Like I said, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in the long run.
We have 2 boys, Interestingly, before we got married, Joe lived in this beautiful area in Clearwater there, and there was a dock, a magnolia dock. And this was after we were actually engaged, and we were having that conversation, you know, how many children do you want, you know, and, you know, just kind of like trying to figure out, trying to like scratch in and draw out what we thought our lives would look like as a married couple. And I remember asking him, Joe, what would you do if we had disabled children? What would that look like for you? No clue where that came from or why it was even, you know, prompted to be even asked. I remember sitting there and we both really paused for a long time. And we both said, it'll be all right. We'll figure it out. Like, I would be okay with that. Our kids were both born completely normal, healthy, vibrant toddlers. John was a little strange when he was a little toddler. You know, he had all of his milestones, of course. He was doing, you know, building the blocks and doing everything he was supposed to do. Then when he was 6, we had moved out here and playing baseball out in the front yard, and the ball went whizzing past him. And I'm like, John, he's down on the ground and he's trying to find the ball. And I was like, he can't see the ball. John, it's right there. He's like, where? I can't see it. And so Joe's like, you need to get him to the eye doctor. I think this kid needs some glasses. And took him to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor said, wow, you know, his retinas don't look right. We took him down to an ophthalmologist, Jules Stein, and he said, yep, his retinas don't look so great. He said, I think we should do a little conjunctiva biopsy and we'll know more. And he was diagnosed with Batten's disease. They gave us this diagnosis, and the next step is you need to go to the geneticist. We went to the geneticist, and it was on Ash Wednesday. I'll never forget it. And sat with this physician, and she said, this is a terminal illness for your child. You know, life expectancy is late teens to early 20s. He will go blind. He will need a feeding tube. He will have seizures.
And it was a long degenerative process. And they actually said, and I'll never forget this, they'll say, you know, he's gonna have to be institutionalized. And we both said, no, that ain't gonna happen. We can't control what's gonna happen to him, but we can control what we do. You know, here we were, two young, healthy couple faced with, you know, the struggles we thought we'd face in life. But this was something we thought, your oldest son's gonna die. How do you deal with that?
And at the same time, those words that came back to me, a flashback of us having this conversation out on Magnolia Dock, right? Like, oh God, he was preparing our hearts before we were married. What's this gonna feel like? You know, if we have disabled kids, you know, are we gonna be able to journey through that? I thought, okay, that was the purpose of that conversation, you know, that that was put before us to kind of wheedle through a little bit and at least surface it and touch upon those emotions, even though we had no clue what really it would feel like, you know. So
you're not given everything that you need to make the journey, in a sense, but we were given enough of what we'd need.
This is where I know I missed out with my dad. The girls, somehow, when they were 10, our relationship started to change. We did nail polish and stuff like that, but when they wanted to ask advice, they would go to him. Nobody would come to me. I was like, come on. No one would ask my opinion about anything. They would go and sit with Doug, and they would just talk. They would look at the baseball game and everything, and they would ask Doug, Dad, what about da-da-da? And I'm just like, well, nobody would ask my opinion. And I was just like devastated. And something happened, and it happened to coincide with a pediatrician visit. And I said, Dr. Walker, I said something. I said, the girls won't ask my opinion and everything. And she goes, that's happening now? And I go, yeah. She goes, good. And I go, what? She goes, no, you don't realize that the girls are now seeing the world through his eyes. So to be able to give the girls that gift, and they are just amazing with their dad. I appreciate who Doug and I are. Depending on who sees this, you can immediately go, oh, they're black and white. You can see their eyes, they're shifting back and forth, and they're going, okay, so what's this all about? And they're trying to figure us out and everything. And I'm going, all right, come on, go ahead.
We're in line like at a grocery store or a checkout line, and people will still come up and ask one or the others if they can help us in their line. They don't even assume we're together.
So we're sailing together.
You know, there's already the part where I think the male in a relationship needs to be willing to give more, sacrifice more, whatever, right? To equalize your status with your wife. And that just has to be accepted. The same thing came with being a father, right? To two mixed race girls, learning who they were, learning how to deal with their emerging identities, supporting them in who they believe they are. But this idea that, oh no, they need to identify more with me and my side of the family. Like, no, they're who they are, right? And I just have to learn to support them and to love them into being who they want to be.
The one thing that I learned about Gina fairly early on, which to me was really a key thing, is whatever little thing happens, she doesn't hold on to it. I don't know how she does it, but she lets it go. So we don't harbor these things because we know, whatever that is, we're going to get through it.
This one of your friends, Steve and Sandy, he was with this woman named Sandy. And about 10 years into their marriage, you had gone skiing. And he confessed to Robert, he goes, Sandy and I are having a rough time right now. And he goes, but you know what? If we could just work through this patch, we could have like 40 years of marriage bliss waiting for us if we just get through this valley. But if we don't work through it, we'll never know, and then to start all over with somebody else or try to, he goes, we're just going to work it out. And they're still married, and she got cancer, and they worked through that, and they haven't had an easy ride, but they kept working through it.